Hey guys, G-Tron here, Cinefunk, or several names, many different names here. So I've seen a lot of talk about slopes. Excuse me, myself included. I have said that there is no smoothing tools. We need smoothing tools. How am I going to get rid of stuff like this? You know, ridges like this that are very hard, edges, or even maybe hills like this that are just a little too much drop. So like I said, myself included, I complained and said we needed better tools. Well, I've changed that tune a little. We still need some better tools, I agree. Really, it's just we need more brushes. That's it. We need more feathered brushes. So, real quick, I'm going to go over some brushes real quick, and then we will fix this and get rid of that. So, we have two different things. We have flatten and we have raise. Flatten and raise do exactly the same thing. They both will greet you into a brush area. You'll be able to select your brush, choosing any size you want, any style, and basically will allow you to raise and lower that land. Now, where they differ is in what the top does. Obviously, flatten is going to flatten the top. So as you can see here on this one, it is flattened. It is just a flat tabletop, no hills, no bumps. Now, there are some. There is some slight sloping there. It doesn't flatten 100%, but it does a really good job of flattening. Raise, on the other hand, will raise the terrain exactly the way it is. So I've seen some people complain about when they're trying to raise up things in the water, or I know I've complained myself about it, where you look at the water here and you try to bring it up and you're like, well, that's not that's not what I wanted. I wanted to bring it all up together. Well, that's where you want to use flatten, not raise. So pretty self-explanatory, and they both serve really good purposes. And really, I'm starting to feel that this is really all we need. I mean, of course, I'm sure they've got other ideas planned and other things. Remember, this is just beta, closed beta. So, the brushes real quick. If we start at, and they're all named by numbers, so I've given them my own names. But if we start here at 1, we have the following 6 are 2 styles, 3 of each. So we start with a circle, which is brush 1 through 3. And what this gives us is it gives us different feathering on the edges. So this will produce a very hard edge. So if we went here and we went ahead and raised this up a good portion, let's just go up to 10 meters. I want to get at least semi-close so I can match them. Okay, 10 meters, perfect. So boom, there we go. So if we exit out, what we see is a very flat top, or if we use raised, whatever the slope was before we raised it. So you're saying, well, what happens if I use the next brush? Well, let's find out. So this one has a little more of a feathered edge, and remember to always select your brush. It's a habit of mine that I'm just bad at. And we'll take it on down to 10 here. Close enough. We'll apply, and as you can clearly see, it's a much more softer edge than the one before it. Now there is one more, and this one is the very small. We're going to go ahead and expand it a little. So we'll start bringing this up to 10 meters, and as you can already see, it's giving us that very nice smooth edge. So there you go. That's the 3 feathering effects that we have as of right now. The same thing applies to the next 3 brushes, which are oval. So 4 through 6 are going to be the same exact thing, just those shapes. So now we get into kind of the more custom shapes. This is your more traditional putt-putt green. And where these are, now if you look at the edges, you'll see that they are softened. They're more like the first one. So they're going to give you more of this edge, I think. Let's just double check that real quick. So we're going to go ahead and bring this one up to about 10 meters. Ooh, a little high, a little high. Ooh, what? Ooh, ooh, so close, so close. Can we do it? Can we? No. So we'll just go there. So as you can see, it gives you pretty much the same edges here as the first brush. So not exactly ideal for carving out that slope from a hard edge like we have on this. So let's go back to our brushes. And so as we see, we've got the semi-kidney bean shape, a square, rectangle, Now, 10 and 11 and 12 are a little different. 10 is what I call the sponge. You can get an overhead view of it. Basically a rounded square, or excuse me, rounded rectangle with 2 indentions on either length. These are more like your last brush here. They give a really nice soft edge, and this is what I call the bean, and this is my go-to brush. I use it for everything. 11. Number 11 is my favorite brush because it feathers so well on the edges. So we'll keep going, and this is the banana clown smile, or hot dog, or insert funny name, the old wanker. Moving on, we get to, these are basically the same shapes you get as the bunker. Notice all their brushes are pretty much exactly across, bunker, pasting of green, all that. I do like that because I know exactly what I'm going to find when I get in there. It'd be great to have some other brushes, but I think these are fantastic. So these basically starting at 13 are going to be your really weird custom shapes, and these are going to be your very hard edge. What's great is, as you can see on all these, the outlines dictate exactly what's going to happen. So as you can see here, super soft opposed to super hard. These are great for just moving some designs in. They're great for sculpting weird shapes. This one, okay, so this one's a little interesting. This one and this... Okay, there is another one that's just like this. It's for sand traps too. So, notice it's shaded on one end. Obviously, it's going to be soft. So, if we select this and bring it on up to about 10 meters. Almost, almost. Stay on target. Stay on target. There we go. Good enough for me. So, as you can clearly see, boom, it's got a lowered edge. What this is really good for is sand traps. This is great for making those little deep sand traps that you're going to love, where it's going to be a little higher on the edge. It's a very situational brush. I don't use it too much, but it's nice to have. I'm hoping we're going to see some more of these that have maybe these feathered edges and such like that. Would be great. So we'll keep moving on, and you'll just go through these simple shapes. As you can see, they're all, now we've gotten back into kind of a softer edge here, which is more like this first one. This one's going to be more of even sharper than that edge. We've got a little soft amoeba, and we'll get into some more little amoeba softing edges, which are nice. This one's kind of a weird in mixing. These are more patterns, stencils, if you want to say. They just, as you can see, they just raise it up where it is. They are kind of hard, so just know that. There is some softness to them, and they add nice, but a little uncontrollable. They're good for, I'm not sure yet. I've tried them on greens, and it gives too much of a wonky play for the greens. But I could see these being, I've used them for just texturizing things, texturizing hills and such. So, okay. So now that we've gotten the brushes out of the way, let's go back to our hill here. So as you can see, we've got a very hard edge, and we don't want that. We don't want that. A very hard edge going right into this water. I mean, sure, that's fine. It's really challenging, stuff like that, but I like realism. Well, faux realism, I guess you could say, or meta real. I don't know what you really want to call it, but real quick, I'll go into SimCity. Basically, I like to design my cities so they're realistic looking. They might not exactly function realistic because it's a game at the heart of it all. So I'm very similar with my golf. A lot of people watch my streams. I really value eye candy. I really like things to look well. I like things to not be roughed edge. And I mean, it's what I do. I work in an art-centered field, so of course I'm going to be very anal about these features. I like it. I like being that way. It makes me different. So, alright, so here's our hill. Without further ado, let's get to that. So we have our hill, and so let's say in this case, we're like, well, that's just a little too much right there on that fairway. Yeah, it's stupid. I don't want that in my fairway. It looks ridiculous. Even though all that behind it looks even more ridiculous, but let's pretend that's not there. We'll look this way. Ah, there we go. Yes, okay. So as we're looking, hard edge, hard edge, hard edge. So the first thing we want to do is, how do we want our slope to go? Now, when you're working with slopes, you're always going to have to remember that no amount of futzing with it, no matter what game, no matter what engine, and just physics in general, the slope is going to be bigger than what it's showing. So as you can see here, I'm actually going to back out so I have a cursor. So as you see, this area right here is going to have to extend. We're going to have to smooth it out. I mean, this is all probably stuff you're going, yeah, I understand, I know. But some people probably don't, just don't think about it. When they get to this point, they're just like, oh, I'll just smooth it out and it'll stay right there. Well, not exactly. You know, you're going to have to either come further back into the top to really mellow out this lip, or you're going to have to bring out more to the bottom and, you know, mellow out this little bowl right here. So that's up to you. That's going to have to play a lot with what your course looks like, the way you want the hole to be designed, and everything like that. So in this case, I'm just going to do, I don't really have an idea because I just made this, so I'm just going to jump right in. So one of the first things I really like to do is go ahead, grab your flatten tool. I love going to my bean. I mean, who doesn't like Bean? You know, Mr. Bean, good show back in the day. Rowan Atkins, love him. So as you can see, oh man, excuse me. It's the last time I drink that before I fucking talk. I'm going to cut that out. But anyway, so as we keep going here, we will see what happens. So I've got the flat brush, and it's at a 0 height, so it's not going to, you know, raise or lower anything except for where I put it. A lot of times, this will take care of your slope for you without having to worry about having to, you know, mess with it too much. So we can expand it, decrease it, and what you're really looking for here is really just a natural flow. You know, just put it on, increase the size, and just play with it. I mean, you know, just get in there. Just see what happens, you know, see what you do. Spin it around, you know. Like I said, play with it. No, not very funny, but still, it's funny. And see what you get out of it, you know. But this is also a great first step. But I'm going to show you my way of creating the slope. So if the flatten isn't going to work out for you, and you know what, let's go back to that real quick. We're going to try flatten and just see what happens. You're going to have to look at different angles quite a bit. And just always be mindful of what you're doing to the backside. Ha ha ha, another joke. So as we can see, we're taking this down. If we keep increasing the size here, we'll see that back just drop and get much, much gentler. Now, of course, we're creating a table top right here, and it's pretty much causing the hill to be kind of wonky. But let's just see what happens. And let's see if we just put it near the bottom and push it into the back. All right, we'll apply. We'll exit out. And as you can see, it didn't do too much for us. Didn't really do much. It kind of gave us a nice little drop down, a little step down, but it's still really, really rough. So, what can I do? Well, first we're going to take our raise. We'll shrink our brush down, and we'll go just to the front. You know, well, what I like to do is once you select it, it will start affecting. So if I add a little, and what I like to do is I like to drop just a little onto my brush. That way I can really see what it's doing to this hill. You know, you can really drop some extreme and see what you're going to do. Now remember, this is the raise brush, so it will take that angle and we'll keep it at that angle and just raise and lower. So very handy. So what I like to do is take my bean brush. So it cut off on me, the game minimized beta. I have to report that, but we are back. So just take a brush. We've got about negative, what is that? Yeah, negative 0.38 on our, so that'd be 380 centimeters. We are dropping down, and really it's just trial and error, you know, to see at first how your hole is going to behave. So if I just take it right here, and always be mindful of what you're doing on the back, because if you're bringing up, let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and just come back to a neutral. And now if I take it and I raise it up about 100 centimeters here, or 110 centimeters, and I start to move it around, it's going to start affecting my hole. This isn't really affecting it too much because it's only that big, so let's get a little more crazy. Alright, we'll go to about 290, and as you can see there, it's really affecting. So, as you can see, just by moving it right here, let's move that mouse, bring our camera down, you can see it's already sloping that out. So I'm going to go ahead and apply. Okay, so we have that. Now remember, sometimes the brush will stay in whatever height or depth you have set it to. And that will give you kind of a false reading, because remember, it previews what it's going to be all the time. It's going to show you exactly what's going to happen before it happens. Sometimes when you apply, you'll go, oh my gosh, that's way too high. First, check, make sure your brush isn't doing that. You know, exit out of your brush, and then look. So just a catch. Now there is a bug that will pop up sometimes. It's very rare, but it has popped up where the brush gets stuck at a weird height. No matter if it says 0 meters, it's still stuck at 200 meters. It's really strange, or not 200 meters, but 200 centimeters or something like that. It gets stuck. Best way to do it is just exit out of course creator, save, exit out, come back in. It should be fixed. So we've got a little bit of slope. Let's keep going. So I'm just going to go a little further up. Sometimes you can shrink it. And just keep bringing it up. Just keep checking your slope. Keep making sure you're at a great angle, So, and if it's not, lower it back down. So we'll just fill this little gap area. We'll go ahead and apply. Okay, and I'll balance out of here. Now, as you can see, we're starting to get a little better. It's not exactly slopey or smooth and slopey, but it's getting better. So we'll go back to rise or raise. Raise your hands. And we'll shrink down a little more. We'll add a little more. Oop, whoa, hey. Remember to always select your brush. As you can see, I am notorious for not selecting my brush. And without even really looking, I'm kind of getting a general look here. I'm going to go down. All right, apply. So, it's getting better. It's getting better. So you're saying, well, that's very tedious. It is. It is. But in my opinion, if you're working on a golf course, you kind of do need that tediousness to it. You need to have that attention to detail. It's a golf course. Every little inch of the hole is going to play to a degree. So course creator is incredibly powerful, but it can't do everything. You definitely need to put your own personal touches on the courses. I'm no definitive expert on this. I've published one course that has a 5 rating. I did choose to use the worst theme performance-wise, and I added lots and lots of props, so I don't blame people for rating it low. And plus, probably wasn't very fun. I was sick, and I was on cough medicine the whole time. I've never said I can make fun courses, or good. Actually, I should say I can make fun courses. I don't know if I can make good courses. I worked on a golf course, so we'll see what happens with more practice. But here we go again. We're just going to keep bringing it up. And just remember to always spin your brush. Look at the different angles, see what you got. Remember, the edges are feathered, so you don't exactly need them to be too far off center. Use them to create that slope on the right side here. As you can see, if I move over, you can see that little bulge that comes out. Bulge. And, ooh, that's not bad. So, ooh, look at that. But as you can see, just play it around. Move it around. See what that slope's going to do. Bring it up some more. Bring it out some more. Look at that. You can really do a good job. And this goes back to what I was saying is your slope's always going to be bigger than what you thought. So we'll go ahead and apply here. Create a little bit of a ridge on that. But as you can see here, it's creating a much smoother edge. And if we step back, we can definitely see where we have affected it. And it's really just filling those in. Flatten, raise, flatten, raise. If you want to go bigger, definitely can. Just be careful. I would like to see a brush similar to this one, but much thinner. I would like a very thin brush. This one that's why I use this, because it has so many different edges to it that are very unique. But I'd love to see one that I could stretch out laterally or horizontally further, and crunch it, squeeze it tighter. So like little shivs, to get in there and really tweak that area. And that's where I think just more brushes and more feathering options should come into play. Again, always select your brush. Do know if you have a hill, and like you saw earlier, if it's just a 0 and you just hit apply, sometimes that comes out to be great. So, but yeah, let's try this whole area actually over here. Since we got this, we've put a little bit of a mound there. We're going to go ahead and spin this, and we're going to use our rounded side to kind of go with the hill here. And let's see what we can do. So I still think this brush is going to be a little too big in size. Yeah, as you can see, I'm raising everything. It's a little too much, so we're going to bring it in and shrink it. Okay. How are we looking on top? Looking pretty good. Sometimes it's not getting the center in the dip. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's getting the brush like that onto the dip and bringing that up. Like I said, you just got to continue playing with it. Think of it like a fine lady. Or a man. Whatever you're fancy. And, it's Friday night. You're playing around. Have some fun with it. Have fun. That's the thing. This course creator was made so we can have fun. It's a game at the root of it all. It's a game. So, we'll bring up. Maybe we need to squeeze it in a little more. As you can just see the hill just changes constantly to your actions. And that's what I love about this, is that I can sit here, you know, have a nice drink, and just casually play with my course. And so we'll just raise this and bring it down some more. Maybe if we just, you know, get a little extreme here, we'll just really try to bring this out. You know, always be mindful. You know what? I'm going to spin it back around so I can get a more flat edge on that side and more kicked out. And so let's just bring it out a little further. Maybe raise it up a little further. Alright, apply that. And as you can see, we're just starting to get a hill. We're starting to get a more just gentler hill instead of this abrupt just drop. Okay, let's try another tactic here. So we'll go to another rough side on this side that we have. Okay. So another process of doing this is take your bean. Let's find our soft side. Sometimes you gotta go a little high. There we go. Or excuse me, our straight edge. Alright. So here we go. Now, this is kind of fun to do for me. And what it is basically you're creating the slope now to fill in this hill. So if we take this and we raise it up, select the brush. Don't be me. So if we just go ahead and bring this on up, what we see here in the front is it's creating a gentle slope because of that brush. Very, very feathered edge. And what we can do here is if we take this, bring it close in. Now this is where I was saying you really want to be careful about the back side of your hill here, because you'll start to raise it if you're not careful. And as you can see right there, starting to affect. So we have this little hill. As you can see, it's still sloped down. Or another fun thing, anyway, we'll go ahead and apply this real quick. So, and that's just creating a little mound in the front. You can fill in this gap up here at the top a little better. This little gap right here. It just depends, you know, it depends on what you want. You know, a lot of courses have these, what I call mounds. I've always called them just mounds, because that seems to be, so it cut off on me, the game minimized, beta. I'll have to report that. But we are back. So, just take a brush. We've got about negative, what is that? Yeah, negative 0.38 on our, so that would be 380 centimeters. We are dropping down. And really, it's just trial and error, you know, to see at first how your hole is going to behave. So if I just take it right here, and always be mindful of what you're doing on the back, because if you're bringing up, let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and just come back to a neutral. And now if I take it and I raise it up about 100 centimeters here, or 110 centimeters, and I start to move it around, it's going to start affecting my hole. This isn't really affecting it too much because it's only that big, so let's get a little more crazy. Alright, we'll go to about 290, and as you can see there, it's really affecting. So, as you can see, just by moving it right... Okay, I lied. Remember, don't listen to me. Sometimes. Listen to me in this video. Yes, do it. But, so, we should be fixed now. I just had to exit out real quick with the course creator. No, we're not tucking our edges. We're going to go back to our sculpt landscape and our flatten. There we go. Okay. So, like I was saying, this is the second method of doing it that I perfected. Perfected. It's not, okay, it's not perfected. I just use it. We're not there yet to perfection. So, okay. So we have this hill. And this is more of a situational kind of way of fixing these hills. But let's just go ahead and say, I want this to slope out right there. So, select the brush. Always select the brush. Do not cycle through like I did. Alright, so we're going to raise this to about, we're going to make it a little bigger. And we're going to try to back ourselves up so we have a flat edge against that. Okay, so as you can see here on this table, it flattens out to the top, and then it hits that curve and goes up. If you're too far away, you'll start to get like a little dip, and that will bring all kinds of problems later on when you're trying to fix. Really, it's just more headache of trying to fill in gaps. So it's easier just to do these broad strokes. And, well, that's not true. I don't want to say that. That's actually not true. It's not hard. It's just more work. That's all you're doing, is you're creating more work for yourself. So let's not create more work for ourselves. So flatten, bring up to a height halfway is sometimes good, and we'll apply. Okay, so what we're seeing here now is, like I said, the preview. This is previewing if I would have gone ahead, and if I go ahead and hit apply again, that's what it will look like. We're not going to do that. So we're not going to exit out of that brush, and so now as you can see, we have a mount. Well, that's not really a good slope. I know it's not. So we'll go back to our brush, and we'll just shrink it. We're going to keep the same exact layout. We're going to match that. And we're just going to back ourselves back up again to this hill. Oop. Always select your brush. I need one of those old World War II propaganda posters on my wall. It says, like, if you don't select your brush, the enemy wins, or something. You know, not selecting a brush sinks ships. I don't know. So we have now shrunk our brush. And we're just going to start increasing our size again. And what this is going to do is it's going to create more of a slope on that front edge. Now, as before, play with your brush and just look at the sizes to make sure that your size is getting kind of what you want. But remember, we're trying to stay a little smaller than the one beforehand. So, kind of creating, you know, that conical hill type shape. So, I've brought it up now another half a meter, or 520 centimeters. I work in metric, so I know quite well. I say that, and I'm probably going to mess it up later. So, still got a nice little edge. Okay, I'm going to go and apply. Okay, so now if I move my brush further in, maybe shrink it down a little more. Now, when you start to get close to the top of this hill, you might want to switch over to your raise brush. And so we'll go ahead and do that. We'll go to raise. We're in the same spot. We have just killed several allied soldiers because we didn't select our brush. But we'll go ahead and start raising this up. Now remember, it's going to raise the terrain as the terrain is. You might be asking why I don't always use it. Well, I actually do use it quite a bit more than I'm using in this. So as we can see up here on this top, we still got a little bit of a ridge. But we're definitely bringing our hill a little better. So we're going to apply. And if we step back some, we can start to really see this hill's coming into play. And then, of course, you can add more and more and more on top to it and just sculpt it more and more. But what I'm going to do now is we're going to cut over to a real-world situation. And I've got two little areas that I had to touch up on a course of mine that I was creating. So we'll do that. All right, so here we go. We got another hill we want to get rid of. Or at least smooth. We'll go to Rise. We'll bring up my favorite tool, the bean, number 11. And what we're going to do here is basically use the straight edge at the base and the curved edge out towards the way that we want the slope to go. So we'll get it, we'll select it, and we'll start bringing it up. So bring it back as far until you start seeing it affect that hill. And once you see it, oop, too far. So right there. Alright, so we'll go up. And what this is basically doing is creating the front slope. So we'll go to about that. I like it. Alright, boom. So now let's decrease our brush. Move it back. And let's bring that on up. Okay. How's that looking? Not too bad. Bam. Okay. So, let's make it, well, since we've created a little ridge on the opposite side, what we're actually going to do here is use the flat, or flatten bean shape again. And what we're going to do here is just increase it. Bring it back about here. Because what we're going to do is just create that slope a little higher. Oops. Select it. Always select. Go up a little bit. Let's see. Now let's bring it a little further in. And nope, nope. We need to get that front piece in there, or excuse me, that back piece, because that's what we're trying to get rid of. Alright, so there we go. Apply. And so we've added a slope. Alright, let's finish off the rest of this. So, we'll do a different method. We'll try using the flatten first. So we'll just widen it, push it forward. As you can see, you'll start to create that slope for you. Bring it down into the slope. And we'll start to get one on the back side. We can start to look at that and base our whole entire slope off that. So let's go about halfway down. Not too much. So watch what we're doing over here on this side. Alright, and what we're going to do here is we're just going to apply it where it's at. So that was one apply. And there we go. So as I said, it's just about playing around with it. So sure, we have this little extra point. We can get rid of that too, that I've created. It's going to rise. Oops, let's pick it. And let's just bring it down some. We'll shrink our brush. And just bring on down on that point. Oops. I'm going to zoom in, not where we go. So I like it. And so there we go. What was once a squared off little point is now a little rounded off area. So, and then you can do, you know, basically along all this. And as you do more of it, you'll start to learn how the brushes work. But yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed that. That's the brushes. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask.